And good morning. Today, I have to tackle an ideological issue that still rages on in the hearts of men and women across the planet. And it's probably one of the most difficult subjects to deal with, that I'm aware of anyway. All day yesterday, there was a raging debate between Michael Erickson and Michael Erickson over what he considers facts that he's presented to me that he thinks I've refused to look at, except I have looked at some of those very videos in the past, and I'm well aware of what he's talking about. In any case, I woke up this morning and my meditation was filled with this. I was consumed by this thought. And so the title that I've given this morning is Ninth Wave, the Evil Illuminati. Fact or perception? Within duality, everything appears as pairs of opposites. Because humans throughout time have been mostly unable to see unity in diversity, there has been a seemingly perpetual battle of opposites, light versus dark, good versus evil. Now, is this battle real, or is it merely perception? To me, your answer reveals your state of consciousness. If it's real to you, you will be engaged in warfare, always attempting to expose the fact of evil intent. However, once you see the unity of all things, the battle is over, and the end of the game is in sight. I'm going to jump to another person here. Let me click on the page here. Eldar Hansen, who lives in Orge, Norway. He's from Bergen, Hordaland in Norway. I had to look those up because I didn't know exactly where they were located. And I might add that there are so many people from especially Sweden and Norway that have been communicating with me of late and actually over the time of these ninth waves. So there's a tremendous light shining from my perception in the north, and it might be that Michael Erickson, I didn't really look back to where he's from, but it's another SEN, and he may in fact be from the same region, which would be fascinating to me that you're getting both sides of the polarity or of the polarization coming out of the same region of the world. But Eldar sent this and actually posted it on my Facebook page. And I'm reading it now. He wrote, "Thank you, darkness. It's time to flow. Smile." He writes, "I bought 2 black candle lights. They are black outside and white inside. These candles were burning and burning, and one day I had a great idea." By the way, I'm correcting his English. Because the lights had this black color around the top and that bends down, I decided to break it off and put it into the candle so it melts. And then as I did that, the lights were struggling to shine and started to dim down and almost stopped shining. So I had to make an opening on the top into the light so the dark wax could drain out. And as I did that, the light started to shine more and more again, and the light started to look white inside again. I think this is a beautiful synchronicity to us. We need to make an opening into the core of our heart and drain out the dark old fear that we put into the light a long time ago. This fear has been dimming our light long enough. So it's time to let this black fear wax flow out from our heart so our true source self can shine in all its glory. The darkness is still part of the candle, as you can see, and it is even creating beautiful art if we let it just flow out and not dim our light. And he's actually got the photograph of the two candles where the wax is draining out. Beautiful analogy, my friend Eldar. Beautiful analogy. And for my friend Michael, I understand your frustration that you think that I'm in denial and I'm just not paying attention to the facts. But the fact is, that's where I grew up, paying attention to the struggle between light and dark, good and evil. I thought that was what it was all about. I thought it was all about God versus the devil, and I was well trained in understanding that the God of this world was Satan, was the devil, was Lucifer. That was what was in control. That force, that dark force, that power was in control. And I believed it. Most of my life, I believed it. Till I saw the vision of Lucifer and Archangel Michael laying down their swords. And all three of us wept. That was 1998, 99, somewhere back there. I can't remember the exact time, but it was still at the end of the 20th century. Wasn't even in the current century. And ever since that vision, that was the one that sort of cemented for me the fact that there is no war. Now, the war did not end in my perception and in my life when I first saw that. It took time for it to develop. And that's another thing that I want to talk to you about in this 9th wave, 8th wave, 7th wave, 6th wave, 5th wave. These waves of evolution, all of the waves still continue. None of them have completed. The completion date, if we're correct, is October the 28th, 2011. Now, I find it fascinating that we're using the Gregorian calendar to determine that end date. Now, I don't know how that was arrived at, and quite honestly, I don't care. It resonates with me, and I don't need to understand all the parts. But Michael Erickson's pointing out that Madame Blavatsky was the Lucifer Trust or the Lucius Trust. I know all about the Lucius Trust. I know all about Lucifer. I'm well aware. But see, here's the thing. I have come to the place where I realize that God, or Creator, works everything after the counsel of God's own will. So that even the dark parts, the black candle that has white inside of it, that has the eternal flame burning, even when the darkness almost puts it out, it's still God that's in control. See, this is the thing that you've got to understand, folks. We have put an omnipotence upon the Illuminati and upon the powers of so-called darkness, but darkness has no intrinsic power of its own. Never did. Ever, ever. It never had power that was of its own essence, because darkness has no essence of its own. It is only provided as a gift by the light to provide the contrast so that we can know ourselves. That's it. And when we know ourselves, we know all there is to know. And who are we? What is it that we must know about ourselves? That I am light and darkness. That I am good and evil. That I am masculine and feminine. And there is no war. I can stop the duel and lay down my sword and learn how to dance instead. And that's called love. That's called wisdom. That's how I see it. I don't need to go back and look at the facts of all the drama that we have created throughout the ages of time where we've pitted one side against another and we've tried to win the war? There is no war. Do you understand? This is what establishes peace on earth. It's not that I'm denying the story. The story exists. The myth exists. Is it real? It sure appears real in our three-dimensional reality. It appears real. But is it real? I don't think so. I don't think it's real. In fact, my heart tells me it's not real, Ron. It's not real. Your only job now is to love everything. Don't judge this versus that, because that's a false paradigm. That's the paradigm of separation that we're moving out of, that Michael's struggling with, trying to convince me and trying to convince others that we need to pay attention to the facts. The fact is, God has always been in control of everything, even when he allowed Lucifer to be the apparent God of this world, which the Bible teaches us, which other mythologies teach us, and which Madame Blavatsky and other mystics and seers have revealed to us from the hidden agenda, the secret agenda. Yeah, there's an agenda of the dark. Yes, there is. There always has been. And behind the agenda of the dark is the agenda of the light. You can have the black candle, as Elgar, is it Elgar or Eldar? Eldar pointed out. You can have the black candle, but inside is still the white. The white candle has merely been dipped in black. And so it's black on the outside, but it's white on the inside, and the eternal flame still burns. Even when you put some of the black into it, it consumes it if you allow it to run, if you allow it to flow. That's what energy does. Energy flows. You see, we've tried to trap the energy and hold it in position and give it a fixed meaning. That's not life. That's death. That's the opposite of live. That's evil. When we try to trap and constrain anything into a permanence. There is no permanence. Change is what is permanent. It's always flowing, always moving, always expanding. This is love. The universe is predisposed toward compassion, forgiveness, mercy. Oh yes, justice too. But what is justice? Justice is that those that were asleep wake up. Justice is that those that were engaged in warfare lay down their arms and stop fighting, and all the swords are beat into plowshares, and the lion lays down with the lamb, and a little child plays on the hole of an asp. I'm quoting scripture. Do you understand? All of these things are coming together now in this ninth wave, and all of the waves. Somebody wrote and said, Ron, about the eighth wave, I didn't see integrity and ethics overtaking the lust for power and greed. I didn't see that you talked about at the beginning, one of your messages earlier in the year or even from last year. I don't see that happening. You see, everything happens first on the higher level, the invisible plane. That's why faith is the evidence of things hoped for. Yeah, I'm messing up my Romans or my Hebrews quote. Faith is the evidence of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I'm not quoting it exactly right. Anyway, and I'm not going to go back and try to fix that in the captions. But I want you to understand that you're either going to have an omnipotent God, creator, or you're going to have an omnipotent force of evil. And one of them is incorrect. And I suggest to you that the incorrect one is the one that gives power to darkness, that gives power to the Illuminati, the dark Illuminati. And as I said yesterday, it's time to illuminate the Illuminati. It's time to illuminate our own hearts, every one of us within ourselves. God is all there is. That's the definition that I choose of God because it's the one that resonates most with my heart, with my spirit, with my soul. It's the one that makes the most sense in my mind. And I believe that is the mind of Christ. That is the mind, the Buddhic mind. That is the mind of all the prophets and seers that they've tried to see and struggled so hard to get us to grasp. And we've missed it, and we've missed it, and we've missed it. But I see it already finished in the heavens, in the invisible realms. That's why I talk about the ninth wave. And that's the message that I have from God's heart through my heart to your heart. To awaken all of us so that we can love one another and we can create the Renaissance. Yeah, Lucifer had a plan, but it was part of God's plan. Always has been. Always has been. The Illuminati has had a plan for a one world order. There's going to be a new world order. That's God's plan. Lucifer's plan was to create it by force. By force. Because that was the only way that Lucifer in that role could see. It had to be done by force. God's plan is to do it by love. And that changes the whole dynamic of the whole thing. Do you understand? I hope to God that I'm making myself clear to Michael Erickson and to all of those that still struggle to understand this false paradigm of duality that pits one pole against the other. There is no war except in our perception. We have created it in our minds. It's a beautiful creation as a teacher, but it is not the reality that is eternal and infinite, which can only come from the Creator, that is love. I leave you with these thoughts. I went over again. I'm sorry for that, but I'm not really, because it was important. Namaste. Thank you.